Jackie, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, Tim. Great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful this morning. And Kelly, how are you?
I'm very well, too. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. You two sound very perky, as you usually do.
Well, we're excited to be here, like always.
Well, that's great. Just kind of giving a refresher for those who may not have been tuned in the last time you two were on the air. You did a survey on your website on driver retention. And do you want to kind of recap that, Jackie, just to bring everyone up to speed?
Yeah, absolutely. So we conducted a survey, and we were excited to see that over 20,000 drivers assisted us in completing the survey. So we conducted a series of 10 questions, and we're really excited to share the results with you and everyone that's listening.
Well, outstanding. Kelly, was it a surprise with the large turnout?
Yeah, we were surprised given the short time we had to advertise for it too. We were excited and very happy to have almost a little over 20,000 drivers fill it out. So yes, we were very pleased with it.
Well, great. Well, I guess I'll do a drum roll and we'll unveil. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so the first question that we asked was the number one reason why truckers leave a company, and over 60% answered all the above. And the answers were, lack of safety, zero engagement from the carrier, poor driver treatment such as dishonesty, and lack of employee value. So these are all very big issues that companies need to look internally at and really improve on these issues, because all of them seem to play a factor in when it comes to drivers leaving their current job.
Yeah, and that is a big issue. Was that again? Was it surprising, or was it something that you kind of figured went into play?
Yeah, no, we figured all of these would certainly come into play when it came to drivers, leaving companies. So it wasn't a huge surprise, but it's definitely things that companies really need to look internally at and make sure they're improving on each of these.
You two deal with companies all the time on a regular basis, Jackie and Kelly. Kelly, what do you think the reason that these companies are missing the point on this?
I think a lot of it is really not diving in and dissecting exactly what it is the drivers want and listening to the drivers. I think that's key, too. I think they really need to listen to the drivers and hear exactly what they want.
And listening, that's a key word, too, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think a big piece, too, Tim, that we spoke about last week was the communication. And that's why we're really excited to be on the show, because now we're able to bring awareness by surveying drivers, seeing what they're feeling, their thoughts are out on the road, and conveying that to carriers.
Absolutely. Well, Jackie, what's number two?
So number two, we asked on a scale from 1 to 10, do you feel that your current employer values you and your fellow drivers? And we're pretty amazed to see that it was really neck and neck between 4, 5 being the highest percentile, and 6. So what that really means to us is that drivers feel that they're at best, valued at average or, below average.
Yeah. And again, do you think the companies see this, and or is it kind of like an oblivious thing to the companies as well?
I think it comes down to raising more awareness. So I think the third question that we have, Kelly, I'll let you take it, really helps show us some of the key things that employers are doing for retention.
Yeah, so the third question is, what types of programs does your company have in place for driver retention? And, the number one answer was safety meetings, which was great. And then the second two were a driver liaison for driver recruiting, and then an interactive social media campaign. So we were really happy to see that the social media and the driver liaison were up there too, because again, communication is such a huge part in retention. So the fact that these drivers, we're hearing from the drivers themselves that, this is important, and that, some companies are utilizing it to retain them. So we're really happy to see that these two are up there.
Well, that's good. And what's next on the survey?
So the next question is, what driver retention tool would you like your current employer to add? And we were amazed to see that the highest percentile was actually employee events. And we actually, where we were on last time, had a caller call in, and he mentioned that his current employer had a barbecue. and he had some certain issues, and he was actually able to sit down and have a Coke with the owner and be able to hash out the issues that he had, and it led him to be extremely pleased with the company. So, one of the easiest things that employers can take away from this is that, having employee events such as a barbecue with your drivers and connecting with your drivers. But what actually fell in second and third were an active social media campaign and consistent email marketing. So again, it really falls into what we've discussed, which is overall communication from employers to drivers.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty much one of the bonds, one of the common things that bond the company, officials and the drivers together, that communication. And you just mentioned about the cookout or the barbecues, and I found that to be very effective when I was a terminal manager, and I would, occasionally, periodically throughout the year, just throw on a barbecue, and I would send out a mass, not email, but mass Qualcomm message to all the drivers. If you're coming through Atlanta, we're going to we'll have a cookout from between this hour and that hour, and the turnout and the cohesion, it was just great, and the morale. That's one of the key things in terms of boosting morale at any organization, and having these types of togetherness, these types of things that you can spend time together, and as you mentioned, even getting to talk to some of the key people in management.
Absolutely.
Agreed. It's all about making everyone feel part of the community and part of the team. So, I agree. It's all about morale.
Absolutely.
So the next question was, does your current employer have a training format that fully explains the job detail? And we were shocked to see this number that over 54% of them said no. So this is a huge issue. I mean, training is so important, especially when it comes to retaining drivers, because, if they don't feel that they're well-trained or, know exactly what the job entails, they're going to leave. So having a really good training program implemented within your organization is key to retaining drivers, and drivers, are looking for that as well, especially according to this survey.
Yeah, and I can see that is extremely important right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the next question was actually very interesting to us, and it was, why did you join your current employer initially? And over 50% actually they were referred by a friend, which is great to hear. But next in line was they valued their drivers. And so, as traditional marketers, this really stood out to us because and inspired us actually to want to conduct another survey on driver retention, because we really want to know how a driver knew their current employer was valued by their drivers. Was it their current social media campaign? Was it a particular ad? Was it, the 60-second pitch that they heard from a recruiter? So we really want to dive deep and see how drivers are perceiving carriers on the marketing front to know that they value their drivers.
Yeah, so, so the next survey that we would like to do is based on recruiting, dive deep and see exactly what is calling these drivers' attention, how are they hearing about these companies, how are these companies extracting their core values and letting them know that they do value their drivers. So really would like to see, what catches a driver's eye and, get them on board at their next job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next question was, how did you hear about your current employer? Over 50% said through a friend, and then the next top two were online job boards, and again, social media. So again, this is great for us because, we try to tell companies every day that drivers are online, that they do utilize job boards and social media, and, to hear directly from the drivers that, this is they were in the top three, it just goes into showing that they are using it, and it's a great way to communicate with the drivers from an internal and external standpoint.
All right. We're going to pull over and take us a break. We'll be back in just a moment. It's 46 minutes past the hour. Jackie and Kelly are with us with KJ Media. And if you have a weigh in yourself on this, or a comment or a question, give us a call at 615-292-6366. This is Tim Ridley on Sirius XM Satellite Radio. This is Tim Ridley along with Jackie and Kelly, and you're listening to us on Sirius XM 146. Jackie, you were talking about the last number where we were, but what about the next one? You mentioned about social media, rather. What about the next question on the survey?
So the next one was, do you feel support from your dispatch team on the road? And over 55% said they do. So this was great to see because we all know that, in the past, not feeling support from your dispatch team has been an issue when it comes to drivers leaving. So I was happy to see that this number was high.
Yeah, that's really good. I think it's higher now than it was in the past, as far as my opinion anyway, because I know that used to be a real big thing right there. So that percentile really makes me feel good too.
Yep.
Absolutely. So the last question actually was, how long have you been at your current company? And we were excited to see that, just about 30%, Tim, drivers have been with their company from 2 to 5 years. But the number that we really have to look at is that over 50% of drivers have been with their current employer for under 2 years, and actually leading the pack was from 6 months to a year. And that's why we really want to, conduct another survey on the driver recruiting piece, because obviously retention and recruiting are coupled together. And so we really want to see what draws drivers into working for a company, and where that gap in communication is, and why there is such a high turnover within just a couple of years.
Yeah, that would be a very good survey, good question as well, because companies do seem to sometimes miss the point within that time frame, because it could be a lack of communication, as you just mentioned. It could be, a number of things, but communication is something that's very important. And I've known, I know in my past, when you have lack of communication, drivers get frustrated and then they leave. They start looking at other companies and leave. So that's one of the big issues as well. And again, the companies really need to, and some companies are real good at it, but the ones who aren't really need to go back to the drawing board on this.
Exactly, and that's what we're hoping, our survey helps with companies as well, that they're able to take these answers and learn from them and start rectifying, issues within their organization. So we're hoping this helps, the carrier standpoint as well as the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have a time frame in terms of when you're planning to put the second survey out there?
Yep, we'll have the survey up by tomorrow morning, and then we'll have the results of the survey on this afternoon.
Oh, wow. You guys are talking about right now then.
Yeah, we act quick.
Yeah, I see that. Now, what website, can you give out that website again?
Sure, the website is at truckinggetsocial.com.
Okay, truckinggetsocial.com.
Yes.
All right, well, we're going to go to the phone lines if you two are ready.
Sure.
All right, Animal is with us, and Animal has something to say about retention. Animal, good morning. You're live on the show with Jackie and Kelly.
Good morning, Jackie, Kelly, and Tim. I hope y'all doing all right today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, driver retention. I've been with my company for 10 years, and there's 30 people over me at my terminal that have been there longer. We have very high retention rate and very little turnover. And the main reason is because the company puts the profits back in our pocket. And it's Old Dominion Freight Line. They pay good and they treat the drivers good. And also, we're line haul, LTL. It's a different truckload, but the main thing is they put the money back in the driver's pocket.
Well, that's great that they take care of their employees and, they pay their employees with their drivers well, and that's great to hear.
And you said there are 30 drivers over you then, right, Animal?
So,
I think Animal has
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's really good. Sounds like they're doing something right. If you've been there 10 years and 30 other drivers have been there longer than you, so that's a real good sign.
Yeah, but it just they treat us real well and all. So it's just people give their attitude to get on with it. So it's just that I work for a bunch of companies that low paying and keep drivers out, lay them over, and just treat them terrible is the reason the big turnover is what I see.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Animal, thanks, buddy. We appreciate you, and you be safe out there.
All right, Tim. Y'all have a good one.
You too. Jackie, do you think that some of the companies, well, let me ask you this first. Do you share, I know you're going to be sharing and you do share these things with the companies, but do they find it sort of alarming in with some of the results?
Yeah, it's a mixed review. It's totally depending on the company. It's just, like you mentioned, some of the companies are doing the right thing. And some of the companies are not. And the companies that are not are really actually diving deep to find out how to make their driver recruitment team and their driver retention team a better, outlet, and how to make it better so that, they are competitive with the companies that are doing the right thing.
It's very beneficial to a company to retain, because the amount of money, and back when, this was a number of years ago when I was in recruiting, I know at that time for the company I was a recruiter for, it was costing the company around $8,000 to $9,000 to bring one driver in. That's just to bring one driver in. And if you lose that driver within the first 6 months, there's no way that you can, recoup that. You don't have a return on investment, in other words. So it would be very beneficial to, the companies who aren't on deck with this, as far as driver retention, to get on deck with it, because they're losing money. We're going to we got just enough time to bring Haas in. Haas is in Ohio. Haas, good morning. You're live on the show with Jackie and Kelly.
How you guys doing this morning?
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm one of the drivers, like the 1 year, I've been with 5 different companies. And the company I'm with now is a small company, family owned. They treat you right. I don't make the best money in the world, but I feel like I'm being treated better than I have been with all the other companies I've been with.
So let me ask you this. What are some of the things that they do internally that treat you well, that you feel, is keeping you there?
If I have a problem, I can call the boss direct. I have a cell phone number, an office number. So, if I have a problem, I can call him direct.
That's great.
He has 15 trucks.
That's great. So you're able to communicate, the open lines of communication within the organization. That's great to hear.
But I've been with a bunch of companies that, they just treat you like a number.
So it's nice that you feel you're part of the family there.
Hey, something else, could you guys put in your survey, I don't know, kind of deals with retention, is like the retention at shippers, on your survey, what you feel about that. I got one shipper I go to that says they can keep you up to 8 hours to load you or unload you.
Yeah, and I think, and Jackie and Kelly, I think what happens there, drivers get frustrated because they're spending more time at the loading docks as opposed to being out there on the road. So yeah, that would be that's an interesting that would be an interesting survey rather to maybe get to sometime in the future. Haas, thank you so much. We appreciate you, buddy.
All right.
Okay. And also to Jackie and Kelly, one thing that Haas mentioned about having an open line, someone to talk to. In his case, he could talk to the owner. And I found that being beneficial, even in my previous career in the trucking, as far as working in the office in the trucking company. If a driver has a liaison or someone with authority that he or she can feel comfortable to go to, should they have a problem, and knowing that that person will get that problem resolved, I think that's a big benefit as well.
Agreed, and that was one of the top answers in the survey too. That drivers, that was a big part of that played in retention. That companies did have that driver liaison, someone that they felt that they could go to and talk to and feel trusted, and that was on their side.
Absolutely. Well, let me give out that website, truckinggetsocial.com. Truckinggetsocial.com. Please go on that website. You said today you'll have that up and go.
Yep, this afternoon.
Okay, this afternoon. Get on there and weigh in on it, and we'll be